Let's talk about IT. For most businesses, it's supposed to be the engine room, right? But so often, instead of just humming along, it feels more like a constant source of friction, a point of frustration. Well, today, we're going to look at a powerful way to transform all that chaos into a real strategic asset, something that actually helps the business win. Okay, let's dive right in.
So does this whole scenario sound familiar to you? The business is shouting for innovation and new features, but the IT team is just completely bogged down trying to keep the lights on. Those big game-changing projects, they end up late, way over budget, and honestly, a little underwhelming. It's an incredibly common story, and it all comes down to a fundamental disconnect that we are going to unpack right now.
First off, you've got the daily firefight, just trying to keep everything running. When a server goes down, it's not just some technical glitch with an error code, it's a full-blown business catastrophe. It means sales literally stop, customer support goes dark, the company's reputation takes a massive hit, and living under that constant reactive pressure makes it almost impossible to think about the future. And then you've got the value problem. Huge amounts of money get poured into new tech that promises to make everyone more efficient or open up new markets. But without a really clear connection to what the business is actually trying to achieve, these projects, well, they often just miss the mark entirely. They become super expensive lessons in what not to do. Which, of course, leads us straight to the money problem. To the rest of the company, IT spending can feel like a total black hole. The costs just keep creeping up, the contracts get more and more complex, but the value you're getting out doesn't seem to be keeping pace. And that feeling of out-of-control spending, it creates some serious tension. All of these challenges, the firefighting, the missed deadlines, the costs, they're really just symptoms of one single core problem, a deep structural misalignment. The IT team is getting measured on technical stuff like server uptime, while the business is measured on things like revenue. When those goals aren't tied together, you end up in this permanent state of disconnect. It sounds like a pretty tangled mess, doesn't it? But here's the thing. The solution isn't just buying another piece of software or throwing faster hardware at the problem. The fix actually starts with a really simple but incredibly powerful change in how we look at things. And this right here, this is the absolute key to everything. We have got to stop thinking about managing technology just for the sake of technology. The servers, the code, the networks. Instead, we need to start thinking about how we package all that tech into services that the business actually needs and understands. That one little shift in language changes absolutely everything. So this brings us to the formal definition of what we're talking about. IT Service Management, or ITSM. Now pay close attention to the words here. It's a set of specialized organizational capabilities. That's the part that really matters. It's not a department you can point to or a tool you can buy. It's the combined ability of your people, your processes, and your tech to consistently deliver real value. Now, to really get on board with this new way of thinking, we kind of have to learn the lingo. So let's just quickly break down a few of the foundational concepts from the ITIL framework that make this whole thing click. First up, what in the world do we even mean by a service? Well, think about your email. The service isn't the server sitting in a data center somewhere. The service is reliable communication. It gives you the outcome you want, sending and receiving messages, without you having to worry about all the technical junk, the costs, and the risks behind the scenes. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? The person in accounting doesn't care about server patch levels. They just care that they can run payroll on time. It's this laser focus on the end result, the outcome, that finally gets IT and the business speaking the same language. Okay, now here's a concept that trips a lot of people up. The difference between a process and a function. A process is the how. It's the recipe, the set of steps you follow to get something done, like how you handle a major outage. A function is the who. It's the specialized team that does the work, like the service desk. You absolutely need both, but they are not the same thing. And within those teams, people have roles. Now, a role isn't your job title. It's more like a hat you wear for a specific task. So a single engineer could be the change manager for one task and then switch hats to be the problem analyst for another. It gives you incredible flexibility. So you might be wondering where all these terms come from. Well, most of them come from ITIL, but, and this is super important, ITIL is not some rigid set of rules you have to follow to the letter. Think of it more like a cookbook, filled with proven recipes from the best kitchens in the world. It's good practice. You don't follow it blindly. You pick and choose the parts that make sense for your own kitchen. So now that we've got the basic vocabulary down, Where do we actually start? The temptation is to just jump right in and start drawing up processes, but that's a huge mistake. This kind of transformation doesn't start with doing, it has to start with thinking. And that's where we build the entire foundation. Everything, and I mean everything, in a well-run service organization flows from this one place: service strategy. This is the moment where IT stops being a reactive order taker and starts proactively asking the big question: how can we, IT, help the business win in the marketplace? Every single decision after this has to support the answer to that question. And just look at how the goals here directly attack the problems we talked about at the beginning. You finally get control over costs and risks, you set clear expectations for everyone, and you create a straight line from every single IT activity all the way back to a business goal. This is how you finally turn IT into that strategic asset. So, how do you actually build this strategy? Well, it boils down to these 4 pretty logical steps. First, you start acting like a business. Who are our customers inside the company, and what do they really need to do their jobs? Second, you develop your offerings. What services are we going to provide to help them? Third, you build the factory. What people and tools do we need to deliver those services well? And finally, you draw up the plan to make it all happen. This quote just perfectly captures the end game here. You're not just trying to get better at closing help desk tickets. You are fundamentally building an internal service provider, a powerhouse that gives your entire organization a competitive edge out there in the real world. So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. In your organization right now, is IT treated as a cost center that just needs to be managed and minimized? Or is it seen as a true strategic asset, something that's essential for growth and innovation? Because the journey from one to the other, it all starts with that big shift in thinking we've just walked through.